The ECOS program is titled Enhancing Cultural Heritage Skills Across Europe, shortened to ECOS. It was launched in December 2024 and is led by organizations from Croatia, Dragodid, Greece, Buluki, and Ireland, the Dry Stone Wall Association of Ireland. The project is dedicated to the preservation, advancement, and promotion of European cultural diversity and heritage. The project is co-funded by the European Union Creative Europe Programme Action European Cooperation Projects. The project aims to explore the preservation and promotion of European cultural diversity through the common practices and experiences of traditional building techniques and cultural and architectural heritage. The ECOS program will run until May 2027, and during this time we will continue to deliver these capacity building workshops. Future workshops will explore on documentation of traditional knowledge, field ethnography, cultural mapping, contemporary art and cultural heritage, exhibition design and management. This workshop is the third in the series of 6 online workshops being delivered as part of the ECOS project. For this workshop, we will explore the theme of heritage-led communities development. During the workshop, our 2 expert speakers, our 2 guest speakers with stories from the field, and with the questions from our audience, we aim to see where exploring and sharing the heritage in our communities might take us. Today, we will introduce our 2 expert speakers and their experiences in heritage-led community development. Gorana Barišić Bačelić from Fortress of Culture Šibenik from Croatia will present about the Public Institute Fortress of Culture Šibenik, and after her, Mary Dillon from Heritage Keepers from Ireland with her lecture titled Heritage as a Catalyst for Community Stewardship and Engagement. We will continue then with the stories from the field, or as we like to say it, echoes from the field, where guest project partners will shortly present on the topic. Konstantina Papageorgiou from Ambasada, Greece, and Carolina Vasilikou from the University of Cambridge will introduce their organization experiences of working in the field. After our expert and guest speakers, we will have an opportunity to discuss and ask questions. At this stage, we will kindly invite you to engage and turn on your cameras so we can meet you. The Q&A session will be facilitated by Joanna Nuzzi from Buluki, supported in management of the chat by Angeliki Kosma, also from Buluki. Before we start, just some instructions for everyone. Please keep your microphones on mute and your cameras off while the speakers are presenting. Feel free to introduce yourselves and let us know where you're joining us from in the chat. As the speakers are presenting, please write your questions and comments into the chat. During our Q&A session later, we invite you to switch the cameras, and anyone who would like to ask a question in person, just press the yellow hand up button and we'll be delighted to invite you to participate. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. We look forward to chatting you after our speakers, so grab a coffee, relax, and enjoy the session. So we now move to our first expert speaker and welcome Gorana Barišić Bačelić, the Director of Fortress of Culture Šibenik in Croatia. She's an expert in cultural heritage management and interpretation. She graduated in art history and English language and literature from the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences in Zadar and specialized in cultural management at the University of Maryland. National Intensive Arts Management Program organized by the Ministry of Culture and the Media of the Republic of Croatia. Gorana has participated in numerous conferences, seminars, and workshops on culture, heritage, and management. Her areas of interest are focused on strategic management, cultural heritage interpretation, and audience development. Today, She is the director of the Šibenik Fortress of Culture, public institution with around 70 employees that manages the three renewed fortresses of St. Michael, Barone, St. John, the House of Arts Arsen in Šibenik, and the Croatian Choral Center on the island of Zlarin. Under her leadership, the activities and programs of Šibenik's fortresses have been recognized at both the national and European levels. She has been involved in the preparation, implementation, and post-project management of several EU-funded projects in the field of culture and heritage. Gorana is also an external associate at the Polytechnic of Šibenik, teaching the course Cultural Heritage Management. Gorana, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Anna, for the nice introduction. Thank you again for the invitation to be part of this workshop. I'm happy to introduce our work in the past decade. So if it's okay with you, I could start with sharing the presentation that I prepared. I hope you all see the presentation. So I will talk about one of the best known case studies in Croatia in terms of how can cultural heritage transform the community. And we've been very proud and happy to present our example on many workshops and conferences in the past decade. So the story started in 2014, and 11 years or 12 years later, we can say that Šibenik is really recognized example how can heritage transform the community, how can we make our architectural heritage, our monuments, our tangible heritage into places which are vibrant, live, which attract visitors, which enhance a quality of life of our community as well. So just for the beginning, for all the participants of the workshops, all of you who are listening far away or across Europe, where we are, where is Šibenik? As you can see here on the small map, so we are a coastal city in the middle of the eastern Adriatic coast in Croatia, in between two bigger cities, Zadar and Split. So we are about 80 kilometers away from Split, away from Zadar. So Šibenik is 11th in size in terms of Croatian cities, with inhabitants around 35,000. So we are. This is a satellite image of our city. We are based on a coast, but we are kind of hugged with this channel because Šibenik is situated on the estuary of River Krka, and this is Saint Anthony's Channel driving us away on the sea. So we can say it's a very special city. It's situated at the river and at the sea at the same time. So what is Fortress of Culture? As Anna said, we are a public institution in culture. We are owned and established by the city of Šibenik. And we are kind of trying to renew our mission and vision every 4 to 5 years. So this is the newest one, so to say, from 2025, from this year. So we say that Fortress of Culture develops the culture of Šibenik and enriches the community with various cultural contents, creating a space for education, for inspiration, and for enjoyment. And in terms of our vision, Fortress of Culture, we see it as a recognized leading institution in Croatia and in Europe in the sustainable management of culture and historical spaces, innovative programming, and the creation of inspiring cultural experiences that enrich community and connect people. So very ambitious, so to say, mission and vision, which we are trying to deliver through our strategic and specific goals. And the first one is systematic research of fortification heritage. That means that, why is that the first one? Because when we started to work in 2014, and you will see through our through our presentation that the fortification heritage in Šibenik was not so valorized. It was not researched. It was mostly abandoned and in really bad condition. So we put this research of our fortification, of our military heritage, as one of our primary goals. The second one would be strengthening culture and creative industries in Croatia. That means that we are trying to make our heritage, our monuments, a platform for strengthening not only us as an institution and our community, but all other stakeholders in the culture and creative industries, not only in Croatia, but in Europe. Throughout our activities, we want to expand and strengthen the public interest for culture and to promote the activities, of course, on the national and international level. And finally, in the end, one of the key strategic goals of our institution is to develop the capacity of our human and financial resources, since we realize that the most important, so to say, investment is investment in people. And on the other side, it is very hard to make progress, to be advanced, to be innovative, to kind of produce constantly a good and attractive programs, interpretation, if you don't have finances. So the second row shows our specific goals connected to these strategic ones. That means that we want to revitalize the so far unrenovated parts of the fortification system, to implement innovative solutions for the presentation of this heritage, and to develop high quality, diverse culture and artistic programs on all the cultural infrastructures that we are currently managing. Of course, it is important also throughout that process to strengthen this positive image in general, public and professional as well. And in that way to increase the number of visitors and the users of our contents and programs. And connected to our fifth strategic goal, we also want to use a wide range of funding resources to kind of ensure also our future financial sustainability. But how it all started and why today is, I will go back to this one later on. Well, it started pretty dramatic because in the second, or to say last 2 decades, 3 decades of the 20th century, Šibenik as a city was very, or let's say, the most prominent, one of the most prominent centers for the production for the heavy industry and the production of very polluting sources like aluminium, electrodes, ferroalloys, sulfates. What you see on these 2 images are factories, big industrial spaces that surrounded the city. It was also known for the many different fortification or military complexes in the city and around the city. So Šibenik had 12 barracks surrounding the city and many other military facilities, not only from this earlier period, from the medieval times onwards, but also these more recent periods from the 19th and from the 20th century. What is also important to say that Šibenik is in this beginning or the late 20th, so the last decade of the 20th century. You perhaps know that we went through a homeland war that really affected the economy, the industry, the society in general. And that Šibenik, when we entered, so to say, in the 21st centuries, was one of most affected cities on the Adriatic coast, in terms that all of this, which kind of brought up the economy, and the in Šibenik was destroyed, deteriorated, and it was a very depressing, so to say, situation, especially compared to two bigger cities that surround us, Zadar and Split. So on the other hand, Šibenik was also known for the rich heritage, because from the beginning of the 21st century, from 2002, Šibenik St. James Cathedral was enlisted on UNESCO, and recently 2017, one of the 4 fortresses in the city, St. Nicholas Fortress, was also enlisted to the UNESCO World Heritage List as one of the bigger enlistment, which connects with Italy and Montenegro. So I just want to stress that we have these two kind of phases of the city at that period, that post-war, and a bit darker atmosphere in the city because of all the consequences of the homeland war. But on the other hand, very specific city with rich heritage, with a very special history, because it was one of the originally Croatian cities on the Adriatic coast, unlike, for example, before mentioned Split and Zadar, who were established in the antique period. Today, we are managing 5 different culture infrastructures as an institution, and it is important to say that until 2014, none of these 5 locations were in function at all. So in 2012, the city of Šibenik decided to enter this new phase of, so to say, creating this new identity for the city, so to say, and to make one of the strategic points is to invest in the revitalization of the culture heritage. So that is the period when it all started in 2012, and it lasted for 10 years until 2022. And all of these projects and infrastructures that I will present today were revitalized during that period of 1 decade. We also had many smaller post-revitalization projects, and the total value all of these projects is around 17 million euros, which led altogether to cultural, economic, tourist, and social transformation of our complete local community. I want just to stress that it was a strategic decision made by the city government to take the opportunity and to apply these projects, these revitalizations, to European Union funds, which were at that period of time all very kind of new to all of our cultural stakeholders in the country. So these projects you see here on the image, one of our historical prints from the 17th century showing the fortification system in Šibenik. So here in the middle, here is St. Michael's Fortress, which is the oldest fortress in the city, kind of originating architectural monument of the whole Šibenik. It originates from the 11th century, and of course many times transformed throughout the following periods. But the St. Michael's Fortress was the first renovation project that happened in between 2012 and 14. Here on the image you can see the city walls, not present today anymore, but some of the structures are well preserved as these double wallings. Here on the image you can also see two other fortresses in Šibenik built in the mid 17th century due to Candian Wars. And those were the following projects which happened from 2014, meaning Barone Fortress, St. John Fortress from 2016. So all of them were worth 10 million euros and were all co-funded with the European Union funds. And mostly I will talk about them today and what happened on those fortresses, what was the transformation that they brought to the city, and of course mention our other projects that we as an institution started to apply, smaller ones. And of course, the cultural infrastructure, which is not connected to our fortification system, and that is House of Arts Arsen and the Choral Center on the island of Zlarin. Island of Zlarin is administrative part of the city of Šibenik, and that is why it is the part of this story. So this is the image showing St. Michael's Fortress back in 2010. You see the fortification structure, medieval fortification structure that was transformed throughout the period. Of course, it's very utilitarian. It's not very artistically valued, but it has really a huge historical value for the city. It is centered in the city, in the old city center on the top of the hill. And this is how it looked like in 2010. The idea about the building or renovating the fortress started in the mid 20th century, but it took almost 70 years to complete that project altogether. And this is how the fortress looks like after the renovation. So we renovated the perimeter walls of the fortresses, and the open air stage or the auditorium was built inside the fortress with 1,077 seats facing this beautiful view of the city of Šibenik and the whole area of islands and around Šibenik. You see here the logo as well. I just want to, it's not important so much as the visual identity, but it's this slogan was very motivational at that period. It says, "City is a stage." Šibenik has a good tradition and a long tradition of different festivals in the city center and on the city squares. And it was the idea that this beautiful space, this beautiful open air stage in the fortress gives a certain super boost to all of these creative and culture programs in the city. So it was open in 2014 in June, and it started with a kind of a platform for different programs, culture programs for audiences, not only from Šibenik but from around Croatia. We wanted this to be one of the prestigious places, as it was placed here in the cultural heritage atmosphere in this very specific monument, so that every program which happens here is a special program, and it gives a special kind of layer to all of these all of the people who are coming to see the performances, and even for the artists. Today, when we look back, and you will see later on, we have more than 300 different concerts or events on this open air stage, hosting the best Croatian artists and many very popular European and world artists as well. But St. Michael is not only a stage, open air stage. It's a monument that you can visit every day. It is the second most visited fortification monument in Croatia, because it also has different interpretation elements throughout this architectural complex. And all of these we try to do it in a sort of special and innovative way. So we have two cisterns, two water tanks inside the fortress, which were preserved. And you can see them here, just like just an image of how it looks like in the water tanks. We used 3D mapping in both water tanks to produce a very special experience, a very ambiental experience in terms of showing their original purpose, and of course many different archaeological artifacts that were found throughout the excavations of the fortress. We also have a traditional interpretation. We have different exhibitions happening on the St. Michael's Fortress inside. Today, it is a monument that is approximately visited by around 150,000 visitors throughout the year. As I said, concerning the open air stage, it gives one really special image to the whole city. We used this stage to rebrand the city cultural, spirit, and to be kind of a boutique destination for tourists who are searching for special cultural experiences, and not only just sea and sun tourists. So it is important to say that most of these programs are produced by our team. So in terms of our so to say internal organization, we have a production team who is in charge of producing all of the cultural programs on our sites. We have the research and interpretation team who is also in charge of research and producing new content for our visitors. And the third, so to say, pillar of our institution is international cooperation and projects, since we are trying to be constantly active in terms of searching the new financing resources throughout different corporations, meaning the EU projects, on different national projects, and so on. So this is just a short a summary of our images. What you can see when you are visiting the fortress, you can learn about the history of Šibenik and history of the fortresses throughout our multimedia guide. You can walk through the cisterns and see the 3D mapping projectors and exhibitions, and of course some part of the classical interpretation that we want to show our visitors and show them the development of the fortification heritage in general, not only in Šibenik, and to draw attention that heritage is very present around us in our not only urban but rural landscapes as well. So the second project that started exactly when St. Michael's Fortress was opened was the renovation of the Barone Fortress, which is much smaller. And it is not located in the city center. It's a 17th century fortification, typical 17th century fortification monument. But today it also has, similar to St. Michael's, two faces, two identities. One of them is that Barone is also a place for smaller events, up to 200 people. We have an open air cinema during summer on Barone. We have jazz festivals. We have different other performances. But it's we treat it also as an open air living room of our city. Barone, we were inspired by the fortress Barone to strengthen a membership program that we have in our institution. So if you are local, you can join anywhere from Croatia and from Europe. You can enter our friends club. That is our membership and our loyalty program that it's very symbolic in terms of finances, but gives you opportunity to visit the fortress around the year as many times as you want. So you have free admission all year to all the fortresses, and you have special discounts on our projects. So programs. So Barone Fortress was kind of boosted that membership program, and today we have more than 2,500 people who joined our Friends Club, which use our spaces, our programs very regularly. So it's also a nice place to spend an afternoon with kids, and one of the special interpretation elements that we introduced at Barone Fortress is the platform for augmented reality. In 2016, the augmented reality was really something special and not so much known as a tool for heritage interpretation. But as any digital interpretation, this one is also challenging in terms of that after 5 to 6 to 7 years, you must kind of upgrade it or replace it, because this multimedia technology is really fastly growing and advancing. So we are currently in the phase of refreshing our augmented reality platform, which we used to tell the story about 17th century Šibenik, about the circumstances that led to building these two fortresses, and so on. So as I said, that it's a place for different events. It's used by many different also our partners and stakeholders in the city, many NGOs and so on, the university. Children are regularly coming to Barone and St. Michael's as well, because we have a regular educational program and workshops for school children. And it is also important to say that all of our educational programs for schools on the fortresses are free of admission for the kids, for schools in Šibenik, and not only in Šibenik, but in our county as well. So we wanted to, so to say, fully open doors and discard any obstacles to in between our community and the heritage and the content of the fortresses. The third one that came to our portfolio, so to say, of the Fortress of Culture Šibenik as an institution is the House of Arts Arsen, which is also one of the interesting stories, because it is something completely different. It's also heritage, but very recent heritage. It is a former cinema situated on the very coast of Šibenik, along our sea promenade. It is a residential building from the 50s, and it has back then in that socialist period, many of these buildings had some sort of a social spaces for gathering, for, I don't know, spending free time and so on. And that was the case with this building as well. So it had the hall transformed later on to cinema. But many cinemas in Croatia, in the cities, and not only in the cities, were closed during the 90s. And during the first decade of the 21st century as well, because cinema started to open in these big shopping centers, shopping malls, and these small art cinemas, so to say, small spaces were mostly closed. So for a long period, Šibenik didn't have a cinema hall in the city. But the city the city of Šibenik wanted to apply this through the European Union funding, but it ended up, the project ended up being funded by the city of Šibenik and the Ministry of Culture. And it was really a long period. But in 2021, we opened fully renovated multifunctional hall that costed up to around 2 million euros, and it was funded by not only by the city and the ministry, by our institution as well. What we have today is something really special, and it's a mixed art venue. And it's not only a concert hall, it's also an art cinema. It's a hall for lectures, for workshops, for exhibitions, for performances. It is very modular, so you can transform its interior according to the program that we are delivering. Today, it has a continuous program for children, for all generations of our, so to say, citizens, and it has around 250 different programs throughout the year. So it's a space that really lives throughout the year, or with different programs, with different audiences. And I must just stress that it's named Arsen. It is named after one of our Croatian most prominent and most special artists, composers, and that is him here on this glass panel, Arsen Dedić, who died in 2015. And he was born in Šibenik, and he brought this strong Šibenik identity throughout his artistic activities. And so this is kind of oath from us to his legacy. That is why this place is now. And he was really multi-functional artist as well. He composed the music for films, for theater. He was a writer. He was a singer. He was even a painter. So that is why this place is dedicated to all of the arts, not only performing arts. Arsen is today a place that really brings a special vibe in the city because it is active throughout the year, and it's kind of really trying to touch all generations of our community. And it gave us the opportunity to build up the platform also with the cooperation with our local other organizations, and not only culture organizations, but also the NGOs and so on. So we're very kind of special place that lives very strongly throughout the year. In 2022, the third of our land fortresses, so to say, were renovated in Šibenik, and that is St. John Fortress, the biggest one of all of four. It is 90,000 square meters altogether. It's really huge structure, huge complex, built at the same period as Barone Fortress, and it's very neighboring fortification to Barone. It's only 5 minutes away from one another. It was reconstructed, one of them, the biggest and European projects in terms of revitalization of cultural heritage. And what we have on St. John is, again, something special. You will see that all of these fortresses have different characters, maybe similar programs, Barone and St. Michael's, but very distinctive as well. But St. John is something different. One special infrastructure that now St. John's Fortress has after the renovation is educational campus, which is intended for student groups, young experts, artists who are coming to Šibenik for different study visits or other educational purposes. What we are trying to develop with the St. John's Educational Campus, which is located here, so to say, underground this so-called pliers of the fortress, is something that we want to develop and boost here in the city in terms of educational and scientific opportunities that you have for the local community, but for development of tourism as well. So we see this educational campus at St. John Fortress as the focal point and key resource in building the image of the city as a favorite destination for cultural residencies and artistic activities, center for education and research of heritage and culture and creative industries, incubator of ideas for improving sustainable tourism and quality of life based on cultural heritage and creative industries. So in these 3 years so far, we really hosted many different programs. It's all intended, of course, for organized groups of visitors. As I said, study visit and summer schools, scientific gatherings, seminars, congresses, conferences, art programs, team buildings, camps, and so on. Not only for those coming to Šibenik as a tourist, but also we hosted and organized and supported many educational programs going on the St. John's Educational Campus, which are intended for our local community. For example, for the last week before start of the school, now at the end of August this year, we had 10 days of different thematic workshops for children. For 130 children spent their last days of summer on the educational campus, learning about different fields from STEM to art and so on. So it's kind of really we are trying to make it balanced, that is the place that you can, well, why it is also special. You can sleep here, of course. We have 52 beds here at the campus in these rooms here, but you can also just use these halls and classrooms, outdoor and indoor areas for different programmings. One of the programs that we are kind of putting now in the focus as one of the so to say most important strategically important programs of Fortress of Culture is Night of the Fortresses that we initiated in 2022. Also, it was an idea that one of the activities of the European Union project, one of our projects. So we wanted to just to kind of try to draw attention to the fortification heritage and its presence in our communities, on our landscapes, cultural landscapes. And we connected first with the partners of our EU projects from Montenegro and Bosnia and Herzegovina, and here from Croatia, initiated this Night of Fortresses, which happens on the first or the second Friday and Saturday of May. This next year it will be on the 8th and 9th May. And last year we connected more than 70 sites in 10 different countries, not only in our cross-border countries, but we had partners joined from Lithuania to Ukraine, Italy, and so on. We want to, and of course, what we also wanted to stress is that our heritage can be a platform for a sustainable approach of transforming our communities in a sustainable manner. That is why this event now brings this title, Night of Fortresses Goes Green. And it's not only a place, it's not only a platform for the organization of events and attracting visitors, but it's also a platform for learning, sharing, growing, and engagement in our community of cultural heritage managers. So we are trying to organize different workshops and events that will bring kind of more knowledge and more insight into how can cultural heritage can contribute to the sustainable management of our societies as well. The fourth the fifth and the last infrastructure that Fortress of Culture is managing, and it's one of the special stories also here in Šibenik, is the Croatian Choral Center of the island of Zlarin. Island of Zlarin is the closest island to Šibenik, but very small community. Here on Zlarin, maybe 100, from 150 to 200 people live throughout the year, of course, and during the summer that population is bigger, but it's really, really small community, but very known and recognizable according to choral tradition, choral harvesting that was one of the most special activities on the island, and it raised the economy, it raised the society of the island throughout the centuries, especially in the 19th and 20th century. So we have two houses which are neighboring houses, so to say, that we call today a choral center. One of them is the museum, the exhibition layout, which shows the history of choral harvesting on Zlarin and how it affected its community. And the other one is a place for different events, place for different events for the community and for all of those visiting the island through the summer period. So we really have different more than 80 programs throughout the year, which are aimed to enrich the life of that small community on the island, and we are trying to kind of bring together that artistic and scientific concept of choral harvesting. It's very inspirational, but on the other side, today we are trying throughout this exhibition to show also that biodiversity of our sea, the sustainability of our ecosystems is very in danger. So we are here speaking about the tradition, which kind of brought up the island altogether, but today in a very different sense, in terms of that we must keep the ecosystem healthy and stable, and that is why this project is so special. These two houses, one of them is the exhibition area, and the other one is also a joint, accommodation for scientists for exploring some subjects connected to the sea. And the ecosystems of the sea. And on the other side, we also have many residences of the artists who are doing some of their activities on the islands of Zlarin. So if you want to know more about our examples or our case of the Fortress of Culture, or generally the cases that we call in Europe the best practices in cultural heritage, I recommend you to check this catalog of the European project Cultural Heritage in Action, where we were enlisted in 2020. I think the only example in Croatia in that catalog for the cultural heritage in action, especially for the revitalization of the fortresses. And the last reward that we received is Urbact Good Practice, which is also one of these joint European projects where we were together with Karlovac, but only one of these cultural heritage teams from 160 different projects from Europe. Today, after 11 years, or maybe precise to say from 2012, these 13 years of huge activities, joint investments in the revitalization of our fortification, not only fortification heritage, but mainly fortification heritage, resulted in today with 5 revitalized locations, 17 different implemented EU projects, and with now today annually more than 200,000 visitors on our sites and programs, with Fortress of Culture producing more than 550 programs throughout the year for all generations of visitors, not only from the community, but also from many other places in Croatia and in Europe. I'm happy to answer your questions at the end of all of the sessions. I'm happy to answer anything that you might find interesting and intriguing in the chat as well. I will be here with you for the rest of the workshop as well. Anna, if you have a comment or if you want me to answer some of the questions now, I'm ready, no problem. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you, Gorana, for a fascinating look at heritage in Šibenik and its community. The answers, we will deal with them later. So with Fortress of Šibenik, you've done and still are doing some really excellent and needed changes in the community of the area. So we now welcome Mary Dillon from Heritage Keepers Burnbio Trust Ireland.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here to speak today.
Okay, I will do the introduction a bit so everyone knows about you a little bit. So you are the program coordinator and have broad interest in all aspects of heritage. Mary has background in archaeology, environmental protection and ecology, and brings broad expertise in both built and natural heritage. She has a degree in Masters in Archaeology and has worked in many different aspects of it, from excavations to archaeobotany. Mary is passionate about environmental issues and biodiversity and has a postgraduate diploma in environmental protection and certificate in field ecology. Through the Heritage Keepers program, she fosters community stewardship and engagement, empowering people to take active roles in shaping their heritage futures. Her talk is titled Heritage as a Catalyst for Community Stewardship and Engagement. Mary, the floor is yours. We're listening.
Thanks so much, Anna. This is great. I'm delighted to be here to talk to you all today about heritage as a catalyst for community stewardship and engagement. I coordinate the Heritage Keepers program. The program is run by a charity called the Burnbio Trust, a charity that aims to connect us all to the places around us and our role in caring for those places. We're based in County Galway on the west coast of Ireland, but we operate nationwide. So just to explain the terms in the title of my presentation, what do we mean when we say community stewardship? So when members of a community collectively take responsibility for caring for and managing their shared resources with the goal of keeping them sustainable and improving the quality of life for everybody. And then heritage, what I mean is the definition of heritage that I would use is that heritage is what makes a place special and unique. It includes natural heritage, which refers to the flora and fauna, as well as their habitats and to the wider landscapes. Heritage includes built heritage or tangible heritage, which includes our historical sites, our buildings, our monuments, objects in museums and artifacts. And last but not least, cultural heritage, which can also be referred to as intangible heritage, which incorporates our traditions, our customs, sports, music, dance, literature, folklore, crafts, and skills. So I believe that heritage can serve as a gateway for community stewardship by fostering an understanding of shared history and culture, and by creating a sense of identity, enabling communities to actively participate in the protection and celebration of their local, built, natural, and cultural assets. So in the next while, I want to show you how, through a program like Heritage Keepers, heritage can be a gateway and a catalyst for communities to engage in acts of stewardship. So a bit about Heritage Keepers. Heritage Keepers is a learning and community stewardship program for both primary schools, which primarily the ages from 10 to 12, and for community groups. The program is rooted in over a decade of experience in place-based learning, which can be defined as incorporating all the elements of a place. It's built cultural and natural heritage, involves learning about the place, in the place, and for the place. So yes, it's rooted in place-based learning, and it fosters, Heritage Keepers fosters discovery, critical thinking, problem solving, and collective action. So how it works is that over a series of workshops, participants explore the natural, cultural, and built heritage of their local place. And that word local is very important. And then they plan an action to enhance or protect that local heritage. We provide funding and mentoring for this action. And upon completion, we have a celebration for groups and schools to recognise their achievements. So I suppose Heritage Keepers was created as a response to the fact that people wanted to take action to improve their local heritage and environment, but they didn't know where to start. And in the face of climate change, biodiversity loss, increasing damage to heritage monuments, community fragmentation, and other issues, we felt a programme like Heritage Keepers could help foster collective action and responsibility towards local place. We also wanted to build a programme that would ultimately build community resilience. So just a little bit about how it was developed. So Heritage Keeper was based on over 10 years of work with schools and communities in the Burren and the surrounding counties. It was also developed on the basis of a PhD research project on place-based learning by Dr. Anya Bird in NUI Galway, the National University of Ireland, Galway. And it took into account the aims and objectives of the Heritage Council in Ireland. And also we needed it to fit in with the primary school curriculum here in Ireland as well, as we planned to deliver it not only to adult community groups, sports clubs, that kind of thing, but also to primary schools, to 5th and 6th class in primary schools. So it was important it tied in with the curriculum as well. How is it funded? Initially through a partnership with the Heritage Council. The Heritage Council is a kind of a semi-government body here in Ireland. Now it's funded through the Department of Education in Ireland. The funding is called the ESD Education for Sustainable Development to 2030 funding, and also through charitable foundations. And I suppose the main one of those would be Sunflower Charitable Foundation. And over 50% of the money that we get to run the Heritage Keepers programme goes directly to groups and schools in the form of micro grants for their projects and for their local field trips. I'm just going to stop my share again and stop my share here and share again, because I realize I need to share sound, as I want to show you a short little video that we show to participants to get them interested in the Heritage Keepers programme.
Places where we live, work, socialise and play are such a big part of each one of us and our stories. We impact on these places and they impact us. But can we say that we really know our place and the many elements that make it unique? Our places are made up of many layers. Each place has its own unique history, geography, environment, culture and community, which has shaped it over the years. Getting to know and experience the various aspects of our place and how they are interlinked can enhance our connection to that place and the community that call it home. How were our local landscapes shaped? What are the significant land features or water bodies? Are there local monuments or historical places that we might learn more about or visit? What kinds of plants and animals share our place with us? Are there particular local customs and cultures, and what is their origin? The answers to all these questions, and much more, are all part of what we call place-based learning, where communities can learn about their place, in their place, and for their place. Through a series of engaging and interactive activities, we can learn together about our local heritage and environment, and ultimately work together to carry out actions which can safeguard and enhance these unique elements of our place for the future. Given the current urgency around the biodiversity crisis, climate change and community fragmentation, place-based learning is now more important than ever. We believe that local communities are the best stewards of their own places, with the proper support, of course. Learning more about our places and their needs is the first step to building community stewardship, where communities and individuals feel empowered to take action locally to bring about real and meaningful change and action. Supported by the Heritage Council and created by Burren Bio Trust, who have decades of experience working with communities on place-based initiatives, the Heritage Keepers Programme is an opportunity for your community to learn more about your place and how you can work together to look after it and each other. Following a whole place, whole community approach, participants will be supported to explore and discover their local, built, natural and cultural heritage. Working with school and community groups, the programme culminates in groups creating a place plan to carry out a series of local actions, which they will complete with support from Burren Bio. We hope you can be part of this wonderful journey of discovery.
Okay, so I hope that kind of might have kind of shown you visually a little bit about what Heritage Keepers is about. It's a video that we show to schools and to groups kind of as an advertisement for Heritage Keepers, so they know what it's about before they apply. And we're very lucky, we're always way oversubscribed for the amount of places that we have for our programme, both by schools and by community groups. Okay, so just a bit about how it is delivered. It's delivered through 5 online workshops. These workshops, it's 10 hours in total. So the workshops for adults take place in the evenings, and for schools, they take place in the mornings. We have on the 5 workshops, each workshop concentrates on kind of a different topic. So we start with the introduction to our local places, and we consider all the layers of our local place, what people like about their place, what they might want to change about the place, and what local assets that exist. The second workshop then is about culture and the past. So using a variety of online resources, we investigate what life was like in the past in our places. And we learn about the legacy left by our ancestors, the stories, the folklore, the monuments, the buildings. Week 3 then, biodiversity and land use. So the natural heritage that surrounds us. We look to identify the changes in land use in our local area over time. And we think about what we could do to protect biodiversity. Week 4 then, or the 4th workshop, is entitled The Future. And that 2 hours is spent considering how our places currently look, how they currently are, and how we'd like them to look in the future. And we start to discuss initial ideas for actions and plans, and then a framework is formed for moving those ideas forward. And the last workshop then in the 5 workshop series is called Planning for Action. So every group and school who takes part finalizes a local action plan. And we then discuss how they can engage the wider community and discuss as well how they can access our funding. So I suppose once the 10-hour online workshops are over, that is by no means the end of the programme for schools or groups. Grant aid is available for every action and for everyone who wants to take an action, but not every action would necessarily be funded. For example, we couldn't fund anything that would be detrimental to the environment, but obviously generally that's not usually a problem. As well as grant aid, what we find very, very important is mentoring and just support while schools and groups complete their action. And of course, to have a big celebration then at the end. We hold 2 separate events, one for schools and one for communities. And the community event is particularly important as a networking opportunity for groups, because groups learn from each other, they can support each other, and we think that's a celebration is really, really important. So each workshop has a maximum of 6 schools or 6 adult groups participating from all different parts of the country. So there's plenty of time for interaction between participants. So who takes part? So adult community groups, so they can be new groups or existing groups. They tend to be groups like Tidy Towns groups, men's sheds, development associations, or sometimes even just a group of 6 to 10 neighbours who come together and who say, we'd like to learn more about the heritage in our place. We'd like to take action locally. Can we take part? And yes, we are always delighted to have a new group forming. And also we work with primary schools in 5th or 6th class. So that's that's 11 to 12 years of age. So what kind of actions are completed? Well, we've had over 200 actions completed since our small pilot began in 2022. And you can see from the map that these are from all over Ireland. The type of actions that are undertaken are generally, they have to be manageable for a school or a group to do within a few months, and they'll just have a few months to do the action. And they also, obviously we provide micro grants, but money is an issue. But it is always very, very surprising at the amazing projects and actions that are carried out. Everything from heritage trails, tree planting, wildlife ponds, building, oral history projects are a very important one. Local place days, booklets are produced on different aspects of local heritage. Podcasts and short films are produced. We've had traditional music concerts and exhibitions, and that's just to name some of the actions of the 200 actions that have been taken by our participants. And I suppose the most important thing is to remember that each group or school who takes part, they decide what they are going to do. It's not us coming and saying, oh, you've got a really important archaeology site there. You really need to do something about that and, tell people about it or celebrate it. We leave it up to them to decide what they are going to do their project on. It's really nice to see the children in the school. They always have a democratic vote on what they're going to do. I think children especially get very enthusiastic about the idea that this is their project. They're going to start it, they're going to complete it, and they're going to celebrate it. And it belongs to them. And also, we know that then later on in life that these same children now know how to complete an action, how to get involved. It's done it once and it's worked out, and they can do it again. 90% of the groups and schools who take part in Heritage Keepers go on to complete this funded action. And so it is the vast majority of groups who take part and of schools who take part. Just a little bit on the project types there. You can see we have a graph showing how it divides between both built heritage, cultural heritage, and natural heritage. Of course, some projects are going to incorporate natural heritage and cultural heritage, or built heritage and cultural heritage, but that's just kind of a rough breakdown. And here you can see some of pictures of some of the projects, everything from murals to booklets to signs on local biodiversity, celebration events, and so on. So why the Heritage Keepers program works, I believe, is because it's active, enjoyable, and empowering. So it takes learners on an exploration of their local heritage, and we use engaging and interactive learning methodologies. So it's not a course as such. People don't learn. We're not teaching them, here is the thing about your local history. We're introducing them to online resources that they can use to explore their local history or their local environment, their local nature. And together, then we look at them and report back at what we have. And it's fantastic for groups and schools to share with other groups and schools from around the country what they have in their local place. So it's very learner-led exploration and discovery rather than traditional top-down expert-led learning. So another reason I think that it's enjoyable is because it focuses on the whole place, so the built, cultural and natural heritage, and there's something in it for everybody. We often might get a heritage group taking part, an adult heritage group, and they might really only be interested in built heritage, and that's what heritage means to them. And then by the end of the program, they've decided they're going to plant a mini woodland, as their action, because they have realized that actually this is something that they're really interested in and that they would love to do. So as I was saying, each group and school chooses their own action, which is incredibly important, and this empowers the schools and communities to take ownership of their place. So we also find that the Heritage Keepers program it's building community resilience by developing connections between communities and fostering collaboration. So very often, I don't know if you have men's sheds in the countries that you're in, but we have them here in Ireland. They're kind of local groups of men who build things in sheds. It's kind of it works on loads of different levels, and it's very, very popular. And they often will help out the local school and make, if the school, for example, were building a pond, a wildlife pond, the local men's shed might build them a bench or something to go up alongside it. And we just really find that fostering these connections and having this collaboration really, really helps. And 93% of participants surveyed afterwards said they felt better equipped to take on projects that benefit their community. We also find that just with our place-based methodology and the focus on stewardship, that simple acts like planting for pollinators or notifying the local authority of an illegal dump site or sharing a story of a lost archaeological site can have lifelong impact on the person who takes that action. It can have a very positive effect on that person. Throughout the program, apart from just learning about their local heritage and thinking about things that they'd like to change maybe, or that they'd like to highlight, participants, they develop a sense of agency and increased place connection through doing this. And we're really big into wider community engagement, so schools and communities can come together and learn from each other and take action. The Heritage Keepers program shows that with the right support structures, community stewardship initiatives can be scaled up successfully. We started out with just 10 groups and 10 adult groups and 10 schools a few years ago, and we're now up on 100 groups and schools, working with 100 groups and schools a year. So I suppose Heritage Keepers, it highlights the importance of empowering communities, providing ongoing support, which is as important as the finance, and fostering collaborative networks. So ultimately, the lessons from Heritage Keepers can inform similar programs, I believe, across Ireland and across Europe, that aim to engage communities at different scales and offer a framework that can be adapted to various contexts to achieve positive environmental and social outcomes. Just a little bit about the program's impact so far. We always are surveying and monitoring our surveys of our participants. We've also got external surveying done just to really make sure that, you know, if there is things that can be improved, that we are able to note that and to make those improvements. And the stats, though, have been really, really encouraging. We found that 90% of participants began discussing local heritage with their family and friends after taking part in the programme. 95% felt they'd enhanced their local heritage through the action that they took. We've over 3,500 people have benefited directly from Heritage Keepers, and we really are hoping to up our numbers dramatically in the next few years. So 200 local heritage actions completed nationwide, and also 99% of participants would recommend to another school or community group taking part. So it has been very powerful and very, very popular. The next slide I'm going to show you has another little video, and this video was made by a group of participants who took part a year ago, and it's about their Heritage Keepers journey and their project. If you would just like to have a little look.
There's such a wealth of knowledge in rural Ireland still. We think we've lost it all. There's an incredible amount of untouched knowledge out there, and Heritage Keepers is just an amazing way of tapping into the interest, the innate interest that most people in Ireland have in their past, where they came from, what happened, where it went, and how is this going. Is there a future for our past?
Connemara West organised a graveyard mapping project just after COVID. It was kind of like a COVID project, and we got some funding from Leader. But out of that group, a new group was set up, which was our own heritage group, and we actually applied to Heritage Keepers, and we were one of the groups that they picked to be part of the course. And we learned an awful lot from the online aspect of the course. I suppose it helped us define what we wanted to do, because we learned about biodiversity, we learned about landscape, we learned about the maps. So we learned a lot of different things, and then at the very end we had a conversation ourselves around what our project might be. We learned an awful lot during the online course, but during the actual going out into the landscape with Michael and actually starting to decode the landscape through his eyes, we learned an awful lot more, obviously, and that's what the whole thing, I think, Heritage Keepers is about. We took photographs, we did the recordings, we actually, eventually, two programmes were broadcast on Connemara Community Radio, and then we ourselves did some, for Heritage Day in 2024, we did a small display as well of, you know, information that we had gathered.
One of the lovely aspects of a programme like Heritage Keepers is you get to explore the landscape with people who know about it and knowledge about it, and you're sharing that knowledge with people who are from there, and you're drawing from them and they're drawing from you. So it's a shared experience, because there's all parts and corners of the landscapes that we're in that people themselves may not realise how much knowledge they have themselves or related to that knowledge. So Heritage Keepers is a really fascinating way of engaging with the local landscape, local people, the local community. The villages are rarely bury their dead in the village, but it's at the edge between this village and the next village, at the edge of a bog, the edge of the sea, the edge of the mountain, between this world and literally the next world.
Heritage Keepers is an opportunity for people to learn about their own localities and actually, to explore where they want to go.
Benefits for doing it for me were, again, getting to know the local community after being down here for a few years. And like I said, I really loved the archaeology, so learned a lot about it. I highly recommend anybody or any group to pick something related to Heritage Keepers or to a project and do it. It's highly worthwhile. It's enriching, so it is.
Yeah, it's been brilliant, and people that didn't even realise they were there, have suddenly started talking about them and saying, oh yeah, maybe we should do more with this and, get more involved in our heritage.
I think that Heritage Keepers is an invaluable programme, and it's very much based in your own community, and it gives you tools to ordinary people. So it might be a group like us, which were, all people from different backgrounds, but it could be a school, it could be an existing group, an existing heritage group, or it could be a group that just gets together for a project like this. And it could be something to start off with. It could be like something you say, well, look, let's do Heritage Keeper, give ourselves a couple of tools here, let's get ourselves a project, and then we'll build on that.
It's a marvellous entry point for communities to explore their own heritage, which is all around them.
Okay. So yeah, that was just a little video that one of the groups who participated a year or so ago made on their project and how they found the programme. And I think you get a sense of it, of their pride in their local place, in their local heritage, and the fact that they have achieved this project, that they completed what they set out to do, which was to make a podcast series on the local Kalini or children's graveyards, which are kind of an archaeological and historical monument dotted all around Ireland. So just to go through our plans for Heritage Keepers for the future, we really want to double our numbers in the next couple of years, create a phase 2 for past participants to build on what they've achieved, because we really feel like, we got them started and they're raring now to do more. They really want to take further actions, or maybe they've taken an action for natural heritage in their area, and now they want to take an action for the cultural heritage or built heritage or something similar. And we need to continue to measure our impact through ongoing surveys and reviews, because it's very important to us that people are finding what we do useful, that it's working. And, these things can change as years go by. So we feel like it's really, really important to continue to measure that. Here is just a couple of quotes from teachers who have taken part. I won't read them both out. I'll just read the bottom one. So for our Heritage Keepers action, we decided to write a book. It's all about what we love about our place. We wanted to spread the word. Now that we are officially Heritage Keepers, we aim to keep raising awareness about how it is to protect what you have around us. And that was a class of 5th class students. 5th class then, so they'd be around 11-year-old girls and boys. This picture I love because I just think the pride in the boy's face says it all. So they have their school uniforms on and they're out on a local field trip. So every group in school that takes part gets money towards a local field trip and towards a project. And the local field trips are every bit as important as the project, even though they are only one day. So they're obviously a smaller thing. It's much easier for the schools and communities to complete them, but they nevertheless are important. And what the kids, so they have their school uniforms on, and the logo on their uniform is of the spring gentian, which is quite a rare flower here in Ireland, and you can only find it in the Burren, and even in the Burren it only comes out for a couple of weeks in May, and it can be quite hard to spot. But they have discovered on their field trip, they were on their way to see a local archaeological monument, and they saw the blue flower, the gentian, for the first time in real life, so to speak, and they were just delighted, and they were like, yes, this is what it means to be from here, this is what this place is about, this is what we have to protect. So I think that is very, very powerful. We've also had very good feedback from adult participants, from groups. Again, we don't work with individual adults. They have to be either in a community group or to form a group. We don't look for, it doesn't have to be a formal, group, but as long as there's a minimum of 6 people in it, because we feel like people need to come together to take action, obviously individuals can do a lot, but for us, you cannot beat working with community groups and building that resilience. And so just one quote that I'll read is from one of our participants, said, "I think being educated that I can make a difference, and being given the skills to follow through was a highlight for me. Biodiversity really had me intrigued, and I since signed up for a biodiversity online conference. I learned at 73 years of age, you can teach an old dog new tricks." So yeah, lots of different positive feedback from people. But just as to begin to sum up, I think Heritage Keepers does show that heritage can be a catalyst for community stewardship and engagement. I believe it fosters a sense of identity and belonging, similar to what you saw on those boys' faces there. And I think by examining history and traditions, they develop an awareness of why their community is the way there is, strengthening the connection to their local heritage. And I mean, even if you have just moved into the place, or you've just going to school in a place, or you're just working in a place, you're still part of that community, So we would see the term community as being very wide. We really believe that it encourages public participation, so like a holistic view of heritage encompassing built cultural and natural heritage facilitates a very broad public engagement and a debate about what's important locally, what is important to protect, and how to protect it. We believe that it promotes culture diversity and knowledge transfer. So a program like Heritage Keepers works to preserve heritage, maintain cultural diversity, and ensures that knowledge, traditions, and experiences are passed down to future generations. And last but not least, creates opportunities for action, for stewardship. So communities can take an active role in caring for their heritage, whether it's historical sites, natural habitats, or cultural collections. And that photo is actually from one of our schools who took part. Their project was working with the local nursing home, a nursing home where older people were living who weren't able to live independently, but weren't ready or suitable to be in a hospital. And so the school children worked with this local group in the nursing home, a group of elderly people. And what they did was they recorded for their project the memories that they had of the different names of the wildflowers around them, the cures that they might have associated with them, and so on. So then they made a lovely project out of that. So if you want to find out more about Heritage Keepers, you can go to the Heritage Keepers website, heritagekeepers.ie. We also have a Facebook page and an Instagram page. If you want to get in touch with me, my email address is mary@burnbio.com. I might love to hear from you if you have anything similar in your countries to Heritage Keepers, or if you have found that heritage works for you as a a tool for getting communities to engage in action in their local community. Yeah, I'd love to hear from you. Or you can also contact us through Facebook or Instagram.
Thank you, Mary. It was really lovely and interesting to listen about your work and the opportunities that heritage can bring to the community in such, like you said, active, enjoyable, and empowering way. Thank you. So we continue now to our part that's called Echoes from the Field or Stories from the Field, where our guest speakers will introduce their experiences of working in cultural and environmental associations. First, we'd like to welcome Konstantina Papageorgiou from Ambasada, from the island of Tinos in Greece. The Cultural and Environmental Association Ambasada was founded in 2023 in Tinos, a small island right in the middle of the Aegean Sea, belonging to the Cyclades archipelago. Tinos has an impressive dry stone heritage, which is being lost day by day due to new construction aimed at the tourism and real estate industries. Along with the remnants of its history, Tinos is losing its agricultural land and its water resources. Although everyone in Ambasada has been a volunteer up to now, they have been working rather intensively with the aim of raising awareness about the cultural, environmental, and economic value of the island's dry stone heritage. They have organized workshops and a congress, they have published books, and they have built lots of small and not so small dry stone walls together with enthusiastic school children and their teachers in the classroom and in the field. Some of the results of Ambasada's work are very encouraging and will be discussed later in the presentation. So, Konstantina, the floor is yours. Thank you.
I would like to thank you very much for the invitation, for the opportunity to present our association's work and also to learn from your experience. It's an honor, a pleasure, and also very motivating to be here with you today. Let's start with an excerpt from the conference that we organized in April 2023. The speaker is the sculptor Petros Delatolas, a very respected marble craftsman and artist in an island with a long tradition of marble sculpting.
Άνθρωποι που δεν μπορούσαν να κάνουν αλλιώς. Οι πρώτοι κάτοικοι του νησιού, ξέρω εγώ, ήταν ψαράδες ή συλλέκτες ή κυνηγοί. Αυτοί που κατάφεραν να μείνουν σε αυτό την πυραμίδα από βράχια, οι πιο καρδαμωμένοι πήραν το καλό κομμάτι που φυσικά υπήρχε. Οι άλλοι οι οποίοι δεν είχαν αυτή τη δυνατότητα και ήταν πιο κακόμοιροι, ξέρω εγώ, πήγαν στα απότομα, στις πλαγιές και στα αυτές. Για να κάνουν έπρεπε να σκεφτούν κάτι να κάνουν. Είχε λίγο χώμα η άκρη στους αραμούς, έπρεπε λοιπόν να βγάλουν λίγο τα βράχια, να κάνουν ένα σακιπάκι και να βάλουν, ξέρω εγώ, και κάνα χορταρικό και κάνα σπόρο. Βγάζοντας τα βράχια, κάνανε μια στίβα πέτρες. Αυτή η στίβα οι πέτρες έπαιρνε τον άλλο τόσο χώρο. Κάτι πρέπει να τις κάνω εγώ αυτές τις πέτρες. Τις έχω εκεί στίβες μες στη μέση και να μην κάνουν τίποτα. Πρέπει να τις αξιοποιήσω, να κάνουν και αυτές κάτι, βάλω να δουλέψω.
So the stones should be put to work. Please keep this in mind. I will come back to this at the end of the presentation. Here you see the Aegean Sea. Tinos is in the very middle. Most of Greece's dry stone constructions are to be found in the Aegean Islands. Cultivation terraces were needed to help retain the soil and the rainwater. Thanks to dry stone constructions, the islands were self-sufficient and able to support an increasing population, especially in the 19th century. But of course, there are constructions that are with certainty many centuries or few thousands of years old. Here you will see some of Tinos' dry stone heritage. The island is covered almost in its entirety with dry stone cultivation terraces. Its landscape is literally handmade. There are about 270,000 cultivation terraces as counted by the Aegean University, about 50 to 60,000 huts and sheds for sheep, goats, cows, donkeys, and so on. 1,000 kilometers of old paved pathways, thousands of kilometers of freestanding and retaining walls, as well as threshing floors, irrigation constructions, a few bridges, and so on. I will not go into details about its photograph, but I will be happy to answer questions later. Tinos Island lives mainly off tourism, conventional but religious too. The Church of the Annunciation is one of the most important pilgrimages of Orthodox Christianity. The dry stone heritage does contribute to what makes the island attractive to visitors from all over the world. Here you see these are extremely old buildings. It's very difficult to date dry stone structures, as you probably know. The pictures will end with a very well preserved pigeon house, which is not made of dry stone. It's a very beautiful building, very characteristic of the landscape of Tinos Island, where about 1,000 such buildings still stand. This is a pigeon house in spring. So what we have is some continuation of their original use, but really we have large-scale abandonment of dry stone structures. They can all be seen as beautiful romantic landscapes, and incalculable amount of human effort and toil lying in ruins, like a Greek temple. Or one can think of the desertification that has already started, with the soil ending up literally in the sea, when it rains, or when the notorious northern Aegean wind blows in the summer. Enter tourism. The abandonment of a local economic model based on agriculture and animal husbandry, just like in other European countries after World War II, has had as a result that all dry stone structures are seldom repaired and no new ones are built. Because of tourism, agricultural land is sold as land to build highly priced private houses and hotels. Dry stone terraces and other structures are thus destroyed. Since Greece is literally full of monuments of every era and of exceptional quality, which are protected by law, part of the population considers any monument, dry stone ones included, an obstacle to making a profit of their land, which leads to the destruction of dry stone constructions by their own owners. Dry stone sheds are torn down and turned into vacation houses due to lack of effective legislation. These short-term rental places are marketed as ecological, traditional, tiny houses, and so on. Here are examples. This is an older one. This is one being built right now. These were formerly dry stone sheds or huts. And they have nothing to do with the original buildings, of course, but they pretend to be. This used to be a marble 2-story house for large animals, which turned into this one with metal balconies, whatever, totally out of place. It's very hard indeed to compete with a conventional touristic economic model. So the issues, what are the issues our association has had to tackle? In Greece, and as far as I know, most of Europe, there is still need for effective legal framework for the protection of dry stone heritage, need for incentives for the use of dry stone in the building sector, need for certified vocational education, and dry stone walling and dry stone heritage, and practically absent from compulsory education. There is still need to raise awareness about the value of dry stone as part of Greek heritage, but also as a living construction technique among scientists, researchers, academia, in the construction sector, very importantly, among tourists and buyers of property, and of course, among the local authorities and general population, starting from children of preschool age. The above are exactly what Ambasada has undertaken to do during the 2.5 years since its founding. But why work with schools and with school children? We're also about to publish a book about dry stone for children up to 10 years old, the first book of its kind internationally, as far as we know. There are several reasons why working with our younger generation is a good idea. They are very enthusiastic, and teachers too, and it's a pleasure to be around them. It's a very effective way to reach parents, grandparents, and teachers, and they collectively form a not small part of the local population. And we're also given an opportunity to talk to them in simple terms about an important and very sensitive issue. Children are open to new ways of seeing their own life, their own environment and habits, and they don't have issues of monetary profit that affect their understanding of environmental issues. They can influence the way their families think about environmental issues. And we don't know the answers to the questions we're asking. We don't know the solutions to the problems we're pointing out. And maybe children can figure something out. We need their help. All of us in Ambasada have been volunteers, and this, together with our working with school children, has probably contributed to our having been, I dare say, rather effective for such a short time. Hotels offered free rooms for people participating in our events. Restaurants offered free meals. Car rental businesses offered, well, cars. Construction companies offered builders. We were offered tools. We had for free a few thousand kilos of stone and so on. The results. People in Tinos have started to view dry stone constructions as having a certain cultural value, even as monuments. We know that some of these structures were saved from destruction thanks to our having raised awareness about their value among people in the construction sector. We are cooperating with the municipality of Tinos on the founding of a certified vocational school for dry stone, of a dry stone park or museum, whatever you want to call it, where building workshops will be taking place, and the terraces will be cultivated again using traditional varieties. We're currently working on having the protection of dry stone constructions included in the new building legislation all over the Cycladic Islands or even Greece. Going back to what the sculptor said in the very beginning of this presentation, for the art of dry stone building to stay alive, ways should be found for the stones to be put to work again. That is, they should produce again a profit for the majority of the people. And we are currently on the search for such ways, and I'm sure the younger generation will help us. Here is a video from our first dry stone walling school, and I thank you very much for your attention.
Μ' αρέσουν τα σπασίματα.
Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ για τις πληροφορίες. Εγώ σχόλασα τώρα.
Εγώ θα μείνω.
Thank you, Konstantina, for this lovely presentation and for getting to know Tinos Island and Ambasada's great effort in preserving cultural heritage. It's not easy today, we all know. So thank you very much. Our next speaker is Karolina Vasilikou from the University of Cambridge. She is assistant professor in architecture and design, researcher and educator, and a member of the National Research Program for Green Transition. Karolina's research explores multisensory and socio-cultural values of architecture, with a particular focus on neurodiversity, everyday navigation, and community-led practices that redefine frameworks for inclusive public space. She will present and share her experiences working on a small project she did this summer for the Cultural Heritage and Architecture Festival on the island of Paros in Greece. So, Karolina, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Can you hear me? I'm speaking through my headphones. I just want to say, while I'm kind of doing all the technical stuff, that I am so excited to be here today. Thank you so much for the invitation. It's absolutely fascinating to be part of this discussion and have the chance to share some of the work that we've done as part of the festival in Paros. So, as Anna mentioned, I'm at the moment kind of an assistant professor at the University of Cambridge, but I'm here with my hat as one of the volunteers for a festival, an experiential festival that is happening every year in the island of Paros, which is in the Aegean Sea. And it's actually, thank you so much, Kostadina, for making the introductions about the geographies, because I can now very easily say that Paros is south of Tinos, so we can be placed geographically. The festival started 15 years ago. It has been going strong for 15 years. Every year, where volunteers from the community of a traditional settlement are coming together to open their houses and talk about their heritage and culture and share it with visitors and kind of the other kind of local communities. What I'm going to talk about today for the next 9 to 9 minutes is about ways that we found about activating the cultural heritage and building on storytelling and kind of sensory methods with the help of a local community that led to the foundation of a new oral history group of Marpisa Paros that started kind of incorporating some of the testimonies of the people that live, of residents of Marpisa, into some of the activities and workshops that took place during the festival itself. A little bit about roots in Marpisa. So it's located on the island of Paros. It's happening every year, and you can see here the mapping from the volunteers of the whole settlement with key landmarks. It is a traditional settlement that was based in kind of agricultural activities and was at the height of its, let's say, vitality in the 18th and 19th century on the island of Paros. So this is the link to the Roots in Marpisa website, where you can see kind of here I have the photo gallery of every year's festival. Every year the volunteers are coming together with the active participation of the local residents to decide on a theme for the year, and they are every year they're different, and they're focusing on specific aspects of either the architecture or a specific craft that was developed in the settlement, or a specific kind of activity that was part of the identity, of the cultural identity of the village. So the first activity that I want to talk about is it happened in 2021. Was my second kind of involvement with the festival as a volunteer, and that was based in the effort to try and activate secondary housing typologies that were made for the agricultural activities that were happening in Marpisa and around Marpisa. This is the typology called Katikia. It is the household where actual agricultural activities and work would happen on an everyday basis, whereas the main, let's say, village house would be used for wintertime and kind of festivities or kind of rest days of the week, if that makes sense. I was invited to develop a workshop that would try to activate the spaces of katikias that are still existing in a kind of a ruinous and abandoned state around the village of Marpisa. And for that, we developed a methodology using oral history methods that have already heard that they're particularly successful and interesting in heritage and community-led activities, where we took interviews of 10 different residents that had experience of living and being part of this kind of daily agricultural work and activity, and have used katikias, this agricultural second kind of house typology, in their childhood. And they would bring stories about the day-to-day, everyday life around this typology and the specific routines and spaces that would have to be present to support the kind of the seasonal activities that would provide the food and economical vitality of the household. And you can see here that for this activity, we developed a small mapping that would allow for the people that were participating in the sound walk to be able to navigate through the ruinous state of the existing, let's say, traces of these spaces. Then another very interesting kind of result that came out of this project was a specific lexicon, a vocabulary that came out of the interviews that we had with the residents about specific words that were used to describe particular aspects. Even the word kadikya is a word that is used specifically in Paros. It might have been used in other places as well, but we made it for the first time in Paros. But also kind of other aspects, such as, yalades, a specific type of cow that would be good for milking, that the local people would kind of single out from the rest of the herd. And the process of the soundbook itself would be part of the festival. It would happen during the last weekend of August, and it would be deployed as a group walk where each person would have a set of headphones, and they would have an audio guide that they would follow as a group. And that audio guide was enriched by the testimonies of the different residents that were edited in a way that would create a story about the use of the kadikya and its connection with the central settlement of Marpisa. And this is free and open for everyone to access to. Και του πλούτου της καθημερινής ζωής και μιας γνώσης που χάνεται εάν δεν την κρατήσουμε ενεργά στη μνήμη μας. Καλό περπάτημα.
Τώρα πώς αρχίζει. Που λέει ναι, το θυμήθηκα. Αρχοντόγιος παντρεύεται και παίρνει προσφυγούλα μαυρομάτα μου, και παίρνει προσφυγούλα σε κλαίν τα μάτια μου. Κι η πεθέρα σαν τα ακούσε. Προσφυγούλα μαυρομάτα μου, πιάνει δυο φίδια ζωντανά και ευθύς τα τηγανίζει. Προσφυγούλα μαυρομάτα μου.
Είπαμε με την Κωνσταντίνα, είχαμε μιλήσει πριν από κάποιο καιρό και λέγαμε πόσο θα μας άρεσε να κάνουμε μια έτσι μικρή έρευνα για όλες αυτές τις μικρές αγροτικές, τα μικρά αγροτικά κτίσματα που είναι ακριβώς έξω από τον οικισμό της Μάρπισσας. Και έτσι δημιουργήθηκε η ιδέα του να φτιάξουμε έναν ηχητικό περίπατο που να προσπαθεί να φέρει λίγο στο προσκήνιο την αξία αυτών. Έτσι. Και με την εμπειρία που είχαμε τώρα αυτού του χρόνου, με τον κορονοϊό, που βγήκαμε έξω και περπατήσαμε και ξαναβάλαμε την ύπαιθρο λίγο στη ζωή μας διαφορετικά, έτσι λέγαμε ότι έχει πολύ αξία να φέρουμε στο προσκήνιο αυτά τα κτήματα που τώρα κάποιοι ας πούμε γύρω μας που μιλάγαμε τις προάλλες ψιλοριμάζουνε, μας λένε ότι οι στέγες πέφτουν, βουλιάζουν και αυτά. Και βλέπουμε και εδώ ένα πολύ ωραίο παράδειγμα από πώς το έχετε προσέξει, πώς το έχετε φτιάξει. Και ουσιαστικά οι ερωτήσεις που θα κάνω και πιο πολύ συζήτηση θα κάνουμε είναι από περιέργεια, έτσι να μάθουμε από πού προέρχονται οι κατοικίες, τι ήτανε και πώς ήτανε, τι μέρος είχαν στην καθημερινή ζωή της Μάρπισσας.
Άλλη ιστορία να σας πω. Όταν ήταν νέοι, νέοι ανήπαντροι, θα ήταν 18-20 χρονών, ξέρω εγώ κάπου εκεί, είχαν μαζέψει.
I might stop sharing there and go back to the presentation. This was in Greek, so I might apologize for the people that were not understanding, but they were describing just the very beginning of a sharing of a song from one of the local residents that she was narrating as something that she would hear her dad sing on top of the donkey when he would start his day, leaving from the central village to go to the agricultural house of Katika to start the day of work. And then I'm going to move on to the next slide, which is kind of fast track into 2025 and a second project that we did about the architecture of the traditional settlement. And that was, again, focusing on the idea of oral histories. And just to say that this kind of research was kind of culminated into the official founding of the Marpisa Oral History Group that is now active in the settlement and is incorporating local residents to capture testimonies of people living about their everyday life and heritage, cultural heritage of the settlements, and create a public archive of these testimonies. But for this workshop, we focused on the abandoned traditional houses in the settlement of Marpisa, where we couldn't have access and they had a specific, let's say, heritage value. These would be houses that were either abandoned by their families and they would stay in a ruinous state, and we wouldn't be able to enter as part of say, a large group of people visiting. So we collaborated with a fantastic non-profit organization called Hermes, the Heritage Management E-Society, who offered amazing 3D scanning and mapping activities. And we kind of collaborated with oral history interviews that we kind of developed into a hybrid navigation that we offer through virtual reality glasses and an audio tour on site during the festival. And so this would be a little bit what the, let's say, the 3D scanning looks like. And one would be able to kind of enter into the spaces and navigate through the different spaces and capture a little bit of the internal, let's say, atmospheres and environments and objects. And for this specific project, we kind of conducted oral history interviews that were based on object questions, if that makes sense, because we had the 3D scanning. So we used this technology to capture stories that would connect a little bit with the virtual reality experience. And you can see that every, let's say, little spot or point of interest is coupled with a small audio file and a text that is being kind of explaining what the audio is talking about and the key kind of themes that are coming out. And one would be able with the VRs to navigate and go through different parts of the typology of this house that they wouldn't be able to enter in another way. And I think I'm very close to the end of this. It was a fantastic opportunity for us to be able to share some of the activities and collaborations that we're carrying out as part of this annual festival, the Roots in Marpisa, and also some of the methodological approaches we have used to be able to capture aspects of intangible cultural heritage and tangible and built cultural heritage that is being lost. I'm very happy to have a discussion in more detail later on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carolina. This was very interesting and also inspiring for all of us here. Now we continue to our Q&A session. So now it's time for you to please turn on your camera so we can meet you. And the session will be facilitated by Joanna. So Joanna, it's time for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. So now it's the time for all of you to leave your messages in the chat, to leave your questions or comments, either general comments or specific questions to some of our invited guests, our speakers and our participants from Echoes from the Field. It was truly a very fascinating session and presentations that covered a lot of topics and created, I think, a lot of issues to be discussed regarding sustainability, regarding what we call heritage-led development. We saw different scales and examples that vary from the urban fortification and other cultural heritage hotspots in Šibenik to rural heritage in Ireland, to the insular communities of Tinos and Paros in Greece. It's really fascinating to see many different working formats that engage with the exploitation of cultural and natural resources in the development of local communities. But it is also quite tricky to understand what sustainability is and for whom. To this perspective, I would like to start this Q&A session by addressing myself a question to regarding Šibenik big restorations project. I would like to ask whether local communities of the city were engaged in the processes of redesigning these big fortification sites, and if so, in what processes? How were they taken into account when these state-driven and very interesting initiatives took place in this period of 10 years?
Thank you for the question, Joanna. I must say that, for example, concerning the first project, St. Michael's Fortress, that the public and the community of Šibenik general public was not included in the design of the project. The most, let's say, the only project that the community was more engaged into designing how to look and what to be in future were two projects of Barone and St. John Fortress, which were designed in the association with the local NGO, Juraj Dalmatinac, who are an NGO which is dedicated to the preservation of the cultural heritage. They are not. They were done through different, how to say, participation workshops. But later on, as we took the management of the revitalized fortresses, there were many different initiatives throughout this 10-year period that we engaged our community in deciding about the programming, about, for example, Fortress Friends Club. Membership fees are gathered to and put into different programs of renovation of the portals, historical portals of the houses in the city center, and so on. So participation is something, community participation is something which is growing inside our institution. And maybe it's okay to mention that the NGO, Juraj Dalmatinac, who was in part engaged in the design of the revitalization projects of these two fortresses, their representatives are now part of our board, of our management board. So the representative of the NGOs are constantly, from the beginning, from 2016, because we as an institution were founded from 2016. Previously, we were part of the City Museum, are engaged in our management, following our plans, following all the projects and so on. So that is maybe in short an answer how we treat participatory management in our institution.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for your answer. Of course, participatory approaches are ever evolving, and we are all, as heritage professionals, understanding now how important it is, either from the design stage or during the implementation and the operation of heritage sites, to be really engaging the public in meaningful ways, especially local communities. And you showed us some very impressive results in terms of numbers, also in terms of economic terms. You presented like an income of 17 million euros, if I remember correctly, during the last decade of operation from all these sites, and
it's not an income. It's not an income. It was money spent or gained through for the renovation of the fortresses. For the renovation, yeah, or not only fortresses, but all of these 5 infrastructures. So that is the total that was gained mostly through European Union funding and the local funding, and because we had many other projects which were what we call soft projects, like your project as well, which were capacity building, equipment, programming, and so on, and all together. What we wanted to show is amount of income, amount of money invested in the culture heritage infrastructure, capacity building, equipment, interpretation, and so on. So that is not our income as our gain money, because we are, just to make it clear for the audience.
Yes. Yeah, sure.
But it's a big number. I agree. Yes, it's a big number.
Yeah.
That is, yes.
Both transform the whole city. I mean,
yes. We calculated that if we were relying only on our national and local funding, that it would take 5 decades, at least 5 decades, to do this same amount of interventions. So we couldn't do it without the possibility to gain European Union funding.
Understood. Very clear. And it's not only the restoration processes, it is that you developed actual business models around the operation of these heritage sites, different business models. And what is your impression after all this effort and after this 10 years of operations and of all your work? What is the impact you had at the city level, let's say? How do you feel that this has transformed or not the city? And I'm not talking also, of course, about the positive impact, giving access to cultural opportunities, great stuff, but also in terms of other conflicts that might have risen. I mean, Croatia is a very touristic country as well, and also to my experience, in some places it is quite expensive even to visit heritage sites. For example, we should also discuss about this effect of all, revitalization projects. So how do you stand regarding these potential conflicts that might have risen around the revitalization projects?
Well, first of all, I must say that what we know about our impact is just a feeling now. But why I'm saying the feeling, because in Croatia there is no tradition of evaluation or how to say, some sort of external assessments of the projects when they are finished. Usually you are doing a cost-benefit analysis before the project starts. You do some research before the project starts, but rarely we have a situation when someone is assessing the project and the impacts, everything after 10 years. But that is precisely what we are doing now for the first time, I think, in our cultural heritage, let's say, public, that we are doing a study of our socio-economic impact of these projects on our community. And that is also, that study is also part of one of our currently implemented EU projects. And we are doing that in the relation with, in cooperation with the Institute for Development and International Affairs in Zagreb. who they have this special cultural department dealing with cultural policies and so on. And this is the first time even for them that they are doing this type of the study. And currently we were throughout this summer, we were collecting this huge data of 10 years of operations in different fields. We were doing now focus groups, interviews with different groups of our stakeholders, from the general public and our citizens to our partners, space users, our government, and so on. And they are about to produce this first impact study, which is supposed to show the real, where something which is not our feeling that it has a good impact on the city and good branding. About the conflicts. Yes, we are aware, and it is true that I think this type of projects, this type of business models and the impacts of the city always is just inevitable to have these, pros and cons. But the fact is that our region and our city is still the least touristically developed region on the Adriatic coast in Croatia, that we have this smallest number of all of them from Istria to Dubrovnik, about concerning the overnights and the arrivals, that we still do not feel that big negative impact on our everyday life here in terms of conflict of tourism and our regular living, so to say. And that is why we are trying to everything that we are doing now and thinking in terms of our projects, new initiatives, ideas, programs, is that is why we put this subject of sustainability in the center of our operations. But sustainability in the terms that we are making, how to say, we are taking care in the same way of these 3 Ps, not only so the planet, the people, and the profit. That those 3 Ps are sustainability that we need to balance all the time. So concerning about the prices, well, that's something that we wanted to kind of put aside with our Friends Club. So that membership program is a way that to eliminate the problem that is very costly to visit the fortresses and the programs, because that membership fee costs as 1 daily ticket. So 1 daily ticket, 11.5 euros, for example, is something that you pay, and you have the free admission to all of our sites throughout the year, and many of them free, but most of the programs are discounted with that membership. So it's kind of balancing all the time. On the other side, our local government is encouraging us to be as much financial sustainable as we can, and so it's kind of tricky decisions.
Yes, and a tricky decision, of course, because you are also working on a very big scale, and I'm repeating it because we have to understand that it is different to address the urban heritage sites rather than the rural ones. We need
absolutely, yes.
And design tools, but we also need to keep in mind that this very much used term of sustainability has different aspects. It's social sustainability, it's environmental sustainability, but it is also economic sustainability when we are discussing heritage, and we are discussing also about this heritage-led development of communities.
Absolutely, yes.
Very much, Gorana. It was very insightful to have your impressions on such big projects. And
Thank you.
one common point of our presentations was also the issue of pedagogy. How do we educate people? How do we educate different categories of people and with different media? And we saw this very, very nice and very integrated approach of the learner-led and the place-based learning, the learner-led pedagogy and the place-based learning from Barenboim Trust. And I would like to hear more from Mary regarding the differences or the issues you face when you are developing and implementing programs for adults rather than children. Because I think that we are all, many of the participants of this workshop, we are working in teams that we are involved with educational activities, and we try to tailor and to evolve our pedagogical methodologies, because many of us also are not by profession involved with pedagogy. We might be engineers or masons or architects, so it would be really interesting to hear more about that.
Hi. So you're interested in hearing, say, the difference between designing a program for adults and for children?
Yes, in short, but more the difference from your experience, what you faced as more the different difficulties you might have faced between these two groups of people.
Okay. I think I understand. Yeah. So it is two very different groups. And when we started out the program in 2022, we had the idea that groups, an adult group and a primary school group from the same place would work together. So that they'd maybe do the online workshop separately, but that they come together to do their project. But actually, this wasn't realistic, because first of all, the schools have the classes, they would choose their own project and they didn't want to be told what to do by older members of the community, and vice versa. The older members of the community wanted to do their own project and not be tied into what the primary schools had to do. So we tried the first year and that didn't work. So I suppose when we're working with schools, we are working with 11 and 12-year-olds, and the teacher is kind of between us and the children. So we actually find that we can use a lot of the same online resources that we use for our adult groups. Some of our adult groups they come from lots of different backgrounds, from all over the country, and some of them mightn't be very tech savvy. So this was a problem for us, because we use Zoom, we use breakout rooms for people to discuss issues in their own community, and then we come together, so there's a lot of people talking and asking questions, and it's very interactive, the program. So it is a challenge, I suppose, for working with the adult communities, that the tech. But for most of it, we do find that we can use the same online resources to explore local heritage for both the primary schools and the community groups. So far, it has proven probably more popular with primary schools because it fits in with the curriculum, and it's a nice offer for schools to get these micro grants when money is so hard to come by. Whereas for community groups, they might find that in order to get to 6 to 10 people to commit to 5 evenings, isn't always that easy. We're living in a very busy time, but I suppose for those who have taken the part, they have found it very rewarding.
That's great. It sounds very engaging and very joyful. Your activities sound very...
Thanks. Yes, we try to make it.
I think it is an important aspect to really think of. I mean, Gorana started by saying how they also had to study and research and find out the history of all the heritage sites. You presented how you start with understanding the place and the heritage we're talking about, and the grassroots initiatives in Tinos and Paros also start and do a lot of activities with schools, because you have to start by educating the people whose heritage actually you are engaging with. So it is a very important aspect to really start discussing if there is a future for our past, as some colleague of yours said in a video. And I have also another question for Costandina from Tinos, who presented a very, very interesting initiative that has done a lot of work, and is more what we call a grassroots initiative coming from the local communities and from volunteering actions. And it's everything, every time we discuss about heritage and sustainability and many discussions, it always centers around the issues of identity or brand, of a city brand or a place's identity. So I would like to hear from Costandina as a resident of Tinos and as a representative from Abasada to tell us how she perceives these terms and how they relate to what heritage is actually.
Yes, well, thank you for the question. The thing is that we try to, we have a feeling that it's very urgent to do work, and none of us is works with theory. This has to do, what you're asking me has more to do with theory. I studied archaeology, but I left it several years ago. And so we don't really think or act in terms of identity or branding and so on. We just see the landscape being, we see something sad. We have something sad in front of our eyes. The dry stone terraces are, you know, when I moved to Tinos 11 years ago, when you looked at the slope, you could still see angles, what you call 180 degrees angles. You could see the terraces. Now you just see a very smooth curve going all the way from the top of the hill down. So it's you see it collapsing. And so you just, the first thing is that this has to be saved now. It has to be saved, and you just have to find a way to save it. And when you try to, you don't, it's, I think it's going back to the sadness of what you have in front of your eyes. And of course, the thing is that also with dry stone structures, and especially terraces, there's a very important problem in the islands of the Cyclades, water. You have no water. So when a building is constructed on the terraces, you have drilling for water. It's 99 times out of 100. And this depletes the water resources. And now in some cases, we are consuming water that was stored there 1,000 or 2,000 years ago. And so this is more, we have very tangible problems that demand to be addressed. And so I don't think anyone thinks in terms of I'm the most theoretical of them all, if you can imagine. So it's, yes, we think more in terms of solving problems.
So heritage is also a driver for pinpointing the urge for change, because it is a very sad situation what you're describing in Greek islands, and we are not only Greek islands, also Greek mountains, I would say. And it is a deteriorating situation regarding the protection of the architectural remnants and the architectural structures and the cultural heritage. But it is also this conflicts that I said before. I think there is the core of the discussion, how we can understand heritage when you have all these rural and urban areas in Europe undergoing profound transitions. The commodification of heritage, the touristic hurricane that you described, the energy rollouts that are taking place, different discussions and issues in many local communities regarding the whole agricultural restructuring that we are facing because the economic models have changed. So I'm understanding that heritage is moving from becoming a discussion, from being a discussion of common identity and place being into common needs of people, and that yeah, and
we
that
would like to use these terraces. We want the terraces not to collapse, so that can be used. Maybe not now, but maybe 10 years or 20 years. There are people that we hope that will be more people coming on this planet in the next decades. And so, and also we do believe that, these stone structures, if they are kept in order, they are really beautiful. They will attract tourism. They will attract money. People will make a profit out of it. And I'm afraid that at the moment we're using even the word heritage as a tool, I would say. So yes, it's a language that many people understand. It's a language that let us communicate right now among us. And so and I know that if one has to needs at some point to apply for European funding and so on, one will have to speak in terms of branding and identity and heritage and so on. But in practice, as I said, most people, that would be too much of theory for them. They just want to go out in the field and do work.
That's usually what our colleagues from Dry Stone Wall Association of Ireland tell us.
Okay. That's, I don't know if that answered your question.
Yes. I mean, it's not, my intention was not to trigger a theoretical question. It's rather to hear from people living in the heritage environments we're discussing today, how they perceive heritage as identity or brand. And I'm saying that even in a provocative way. I'm using the term brand because it is also used in a more commodified way, let's say, without, of course, overlooking to what really heritage can mean for the community stewardship we've been discussing, the sense of belonging. These are all very important values for communities. But they all seem to be a little bit more surrounded by a little bit of marketing for places to be more attractive in economic ways and touristic ways. And
I don't think that people living there actually think in terms of branding or heritage. Just leave it. It's like, a fish in the water. They just, especially with dry stone constructions, this is fantastic because one very interesting experience when we started going to schools to talk with teachers and explain them what teachers explain what we want to do. And you would see teachers of, say, 40 or 50 years old who were born and who were raised and lived all their lives in the island. They had no idea. They never noticed the dry stones around them. And actually, they had no idea about the environmental value of, retaining water, retaining the soil, and so on. And they would never use the word heritage unless they learned it.
Mhm.
So
Exactly, because this is their daily life and their daily experience. This heritage and tradition, they are most words that we defined later on. I mean, it's people who lived in traditional environments, who formed these heritage skills or heritage structures, etc. They did not have an understanding of them as heritage. I mean, it was their daily life, of course, their, as you said, their needs, their the way they faced problems and found solutions. Thank you, Konstantina.
thank you.
Okay, thank you, Joanna. This was really nice to hear a little bit about everything in the end. So I hope these interesting topics bring you some new knowledge and inspiring ideas to your professional work and the communities you live in. For me, for sure. This was our third in a series of 6 online ECOS workshops. In the future, we will discuss about documentation of traditional knowledge, cultural exhibitions and design, and the creative industries and traditional crafts. So if you're interested in those topics, keep an eye on our social media channels. We will let you know when it's all going on. So we are now ending the recording. Thank you very much once again. Enjoy the rest of your day and see you next time. Thank you.